What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we will be going over our third Power 5 conference of players to watch from each school. Today, will be covering the Big Ten. I think probably either the first or second strongest conference in college basketball right now. Probably that and the Big 12, I would say, are probably up there. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop into this. First up for Illinois, definitely really excited to see Providence transfer Stefan Vox play for the Fighting Illini this season. In his freshman season at Providence, he averaged 16 points, 2.5 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 40% from the field, 35% from three on over 8 attempts per game, and 84% from the line. So I definitely think, he can get those shooting efficiencies up overall. And, when he's hot, he's definitely a knockdown shooter. Definitely fits Coach Brad Underwood's play style, and I think he could kind of fill in a lot of the gaps from the production that they're losing from Keaton Wagler, Kylan Boswell, Ben Hummerkaus from last season. But I think Illinois is going to be right back at the top of the Big Ten and at the top of the country after making it to the Final Four last season. They are returning David Mirkovic, Andrei Stojakovic, both of the Ivisic brothers, I believe is how you pronounce those. Jake Davis as well, and then they're getting two top 100 freshmen in Quentin Coleman and Lucas Murillo. They I think they might be getting some international guys but either way, a really talented roster. And I think Stefan Vox is definitely going to be, a really productive player for them this season. I would not be surprised if he could be a potential, first round draft pick by the end of this season. And I definitely think, he fits really well with Illinois' play style. And I think he's going to be a super productive player for them this season. Next up for Indiana, I'm excited to see Villanova transfer Bryce Lindsey. This will be Lindsey's fourth school in 4 years, so definitely a modern college basketball player. And Lindsey's a knockdown shooter. He averaged 12 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists last season. Shot 38% from the field, only 36% from three, and 77% from the line. But a season in 24-25 at James Madison, he averaged 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 46% from the field, and 41% from three on almost 7 attempts per game. So you know what he's trying to do. He can he's a really good floor spacer. He can move well without the ball, and he's an absolute knockdown shooter when he gets time and space. Indiana and head coach Darian DeVries has a lot of change coming in from last season. They're losing Lamar Wilkerson, his son Tucker DeVries, Josh Harris, Sam Alexis, Nick Dorn, Reed Bailey, basically the whole team. But they are getting a ton of impact transfers like Marcus Burton from Notre Dame, Aiden Sherrill from Alabama, Jaden Mustaf from Georgia Tech to go along with 2 top 100 recruits as well for the Hoosiers. But yeah, I think Bryce Lindsey is definitely going to be a really good player for the Hoosiers this season. The Indiana and head coach Darian DeVries loves to get up, threes, loves to kind of play quick, space the floor and get up, a ton of threes and a ton of shots. So I think Bryce Lindsey is going to fit in seamlessly with his play style. Next up for the Iowa Hawkeyes, I'm excited to see Isaiah Howard this season. He will be going into his junior season, and last season at Iowa, he averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist per game, and 1 steal. He only played in 18 minutes per game, shot 45% from the field, 28% from three, and 69% from the line. He has followed head coach Ben McCollum from Drake and now to Iowa here, and I think he's definitely ready to take that jump in production. I like his, physicality. He can guard, up. He plays with a lot of, strength and athleticism. I think he can also take on a little bit more on-ball responsibilities. Without obviously, Bennett Sturts, which is, the big loss for Iowa, but they're also losing Tavion Banks, Alvaro Fulgaris, and Brendan Hawson from last season. They are returning a handful of guys and also getting some recruits like Tyree Coleman from Illinois State and Andrew McKeever from St. Mary's. But they're definitely going to need some guys to step up offensively and really take a jump in production. And I think Isaiah Howard is poised to do that in his junior season here with the Hawkeyes. Next up for Maryland, one of the few incoming freshmen that I have on this list as the player to watch, but I think he is that talented. It is Baba Oladotun, who is ranked number 10 in ESPN's top 100. He's referred to as Baby KD a lot. He's listed at 6'10", 195. He's got great length and size. He's a really good scorer. He's got a clean, jump shot. And I think he's going to be really good for Maryland in his freshman season. It says as a sophomore in 24-25, he averaged 22 and a half points, 7.3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2.8 steals per game. So I definitely think he could be a productive player on both ends of the floor. It would probably need to put on a bit of weight and muscle just to be able to kind of get to his spots and get his shot offs as a creator at the college level, kind of similar to what we saw from like Nate Amen this past season, who kind of struggled at like being able to create his own shot and getting a little bit of separation. So I definitely think that's going to be something that he needs to work on. But the talent is definitely there for him to be one of the top freshmen this season. The Terrapins are also returning some pretty good players like Farrell Payne and Andre Mills, while bringing in really impactful transfers like Michael McNair from Boston, DJ Wagner from Arkansas, Bishop Boswell from Tennessee, as well as another top 100 recruit in Caden House. So I definitely think Buzz Williams has a ton of talent, and I think Baba is definitely at the center of all that and could potentially be a lottery pick in the 2027 NBA draft. Next up for the reigning national champions, the Michigan Wolverines. I'm excited to see the sophomore season of Trey McKinney. Last season, as a freshman, he played in all 40 games, played in 22 minutes per game, averaging 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. Shot 46% from the field, 39% from 3, and almost 90% from the line. So just unbelievable efficiency as a true freshman, which was, extremely impressive. Obviously, the Wolverines are losing, a lot of their impact players from their championship roster, like Yaxel Lenneborg, Morris Johnson, Ade Mara, LJ Kaysen, who was injured for a lot of the season, and Namari Burnett, as well as Roddy Gale Jr. too. Not to just even mention their head coach Dusty May, who is obviously with the Dallas Mavericks now. So definitely going to be a little bit of a change for the Wolverines, but I think Trey McKinney can definitely step up to be maybe even the top scorer on this roster. They are returning Elliot Cadeau as well, and bringing in incoming transfers like Mustafa Thiam, JP Estrella, and Jalen Reed, as well as I believe 4 top 100 recruits and Brandon McCoy, Quinn Costello, Lincoln Cosby, and Joseph Hartman. So yeah, definitely a lot of new faces for the Wolverines this season. But I think Trey McKinney is a really talented player on both ends of the floor, and I think he could have a really big breakout season for the Wolverines as a sophomore. Maybe even get on an All-American team. I think he is that talented. Next up for Michigan State, I believe their only player who they got in the transfer portal, Anton Bonk from Charlotte, who is listed at 7'2", 270. He averaged 11 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1.5 blocks per game for Charlotte this past season, shooting 58% from the field, 34% from 3, and 65% from the line. I think, he has the, talent and skill to be a really high impact player at the college level and at the Big Ten level. He's got, unbelievable size. It could be an effective shot blocker and moves pretty well, for being as tall and as big as he is. The Spartans are returning a lot of key guys from last season. Jeremy Fears being the big one coming back to school. This is definitely going to help Anton a lot. And the pick and roll, I think he could be a really productive player with Fears there, as well as Cohen Carr, Kurt Tang, Jordan Scott, and Cam Ward. They are bringing in a couple of top 100 recruits like Josiah Jervis, Ethan Taylor, Carlos Medlock Jr., and Julius Event. So yeah, I think Tom Izzo is going to have a really competitive squad again this season, and I think Anton Bonk could be really, really productive for the Spartans this season. Next up for Minnesota, I'm excited to see Villanova transfer Malachi Palmer play for them this season. He'll be going into his junior year. Last season for Villanova, he averaged 5 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 0.6 assists and steals per game. He shot 47% from the field, 36% from 3, and 76% from the line. So definitely more of a role player for the Wildcats last season, but he's got solid length and size. He's a good athlete. He can defend multiple positions. And I think he could be, a really productive two-way player for the Gophers. Kind of similarly to what happened with Cade Tyson having come over from North Carolina, more of a lesser role, kind of like a role player, and then kind of breaking out and being, their leading scorer from last season. I don't know if Malachi Palmer can do that, but I definitely think he can take like that big jump in production this season with the Golden Gophers. I think he's a really talented player. I'm excited to see with him with hopefully a larger role. They are returning a couple of key guys like Jalen Crocker Johnson, Isaac Asuma, and Bobby Durkin from last season. They're also bringing in Kyan Evans from North Carolina, Winters Grady from Michigan, to go along with four-star incoming freshman Chadrick Employee, I believe is how you pronounce that. But I definitely think Malachi Palmer is going to be really solid for the Golden Gophers this season. Next up for Nebraska, I'm excited to see Belmont transfer Sam Orme for them this season. He'll be going into his junior season, and last season at Belmont, he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and almost a steal and block per game. He was a really efficient scorer from the field and from three, 56% from the field and 40% from three, only 64% from the line. But a really just smart, shot. Just shooter. He knows when to take his shots. He's not going to try to force anything. He kind of knows his role. So I think he's going to fit in kind of seamlessly with the Cornhuskers play style under head coach Fred Hoiberg. The Cornhuskers are returning Price Sanford and Braden Frager from last season. They are getting a couple of impact transfers as well. Damon Wilkinson from South Dakota State, Bowden Kapke from Boston College, Caden Betts from Montana, to just name a few of them. But I definitely think Sam Orme is like the perfect fit for what Nebraska is trying to do. He's a great floor spacer. He's a smart playmaker who can kind of fill a lot of different roles. So I definitely think he's going to fit in seamlessly for Nebraska this season. Next up for Northwestern, I'm excited to see Jack Karasinski from Bellarmine. He was one of the top scorers in the country last season. He averaged 22 points per game, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, shot 56% from the field, 42% from three, and 81% from the line on over 6 attempts per night. He's got great size at like 6'7", 210, and he can score from all three levels very efficiently. Now, obviously, at Bellarmine, not like the best competition, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how his game translates to the Big Ten level and if he's able to, still be a productive scorer at this level. The Wildcats also have a couple of key returning players like Angelo Chiaravino and Jake West, and they have a bunch of incoming transfers to go along with Karasinski, like L.A. Pratt from Northeastern, Colin Smith from UC Santa Barbara, Ryan Sulis from Columbia, to name a few, and then incoming top 100 recruit Jaden Hodge as well. So a lot of talent coming into the Wildcats for head coach Chris Collins. But I definitely think Karasinski has a chance to be the leading scorer for Northwestern this season. So I'm excited to see what he can do for the Wildcats. Next up for Ohio State, I'm excited to see returner John Mobley Jr. He'll be going into his junior season for the Buckeyes, and last season he averaged 16 points, 2.5 rebounds, and almost 3 assists per game. He shot 43% from the field, 41% from three on over 7.5 attempts per game, and 87% from the line. He's a really effective scorer at all three levels. He's a good ball handler. He can create his own shot. He can also facilitate for others. And obviously, without Bruce Thornton this season, he is going to have a lot of the offensive load, and I think he could be the true number one option and be one of the top scorers in the conference. They also lost Devin Royal to the transfer portal, Christoph Tilley as well, but they are returning guys like Amari Bynum, and they're also getting Josh Ojianwuna, who scored 7.5 points per game at Baylor in 24-25. He will be with the Buckeyes this season. They also got a couple of key transfers like Jimmy Williams from Duquesne, Justin Pippen from Cal, and Curtis Givens from Memphis, along with one of the top freshmen in the country in Anthony Thompson. So I think the Buckeyes will definitely be a very competitive team in the Big Ten again, and I think John Mobley Jr. will definitely be a key part and probably the top scorer for the Buckeyes. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends the season on one of the all Big Ten teams and is one of the top scorers in this conference. Next up for the Oregon Ducks, I'm excited to see Kentucky transfer Jasper Johnson for them this season. Coming out of high school, he was a very highly touted recruit, but didn't really get the chance and opportunity to put it all together for Kentucky last season. He played in 35 games, only 12 minutes a night, averaging 5 points, 1 rebound, 1.5 assists, shot 40% from the field, 34% from three, and 88% from the line. But I think he's a really talented player and someone that could really blossom with the chance and opportunity to get more playing time and more just on ball reps. And I think that head coach Dana Altman does a pretty good job of developing guards. And I think that Jasper Johnson has a chance to be, one of the guys who can be the true lead ball handler and creator for the Ducks this season. They also have a ton of incoming transfers as well, like Fred Payne from Boston College, Tyrone Riley from San Francisco, Andrew Meadow from Boise State, Farrell Compton from San Diego State, and Taylor Bull Bowen from Alabama, to name a few others. They're also getting top 100 recruits in Taj Ariza and Kendre Harrison. Again, a lot of incoming talent for Oregon this season. They did lose a lot of production with Nate Biddle, Jackson Shellstad, Kwame Evans, and Takei Simpkins from last season. So I definitely think that Jasper Johnson has a chance to have a really, prominent role in the offense, maybe even be the starting point guard, immediately for the Ducks this season. And I think he is that talented to be a really effective player this season for the Ducks in the Big Ten. Next up for Penn State, I'm excited to see Davidson transfer Roberts Blooms for them this season. Last season at Davidson in his sophomore year, he averaged 12 points, about 3 rebounds, 1 assist per game, shot 46% from the field, 41% from three on 6 attempts per game, and 64% from the line. He's a knockdown shooter, and he's going to be able to space the floor for the Nittany Lions this season. He's a really effective mover without the ball. He's a smart decision maker when he has the ball in his hands. And, he knows his role. He's not going to try to force too many plays, and he's just going to be a smart player for Penn State this season. And the Nittany Lions did lose a lot of production from last season, like Freddie Delone, Caden Mingo, Josh Reed, Eli Rice, to name a few. They are returning Ivan Juric from last season and getting incoming transfers like Brant Byers from Miami, Ohio, Jay Rogers from Central Connecticut State, and DeZonte Bowen from St. Bonaventure. And they're also getting a handful of international players who it will be interesting to see kind of how they are involved in the rotation, how good they are immediately at the college level. But I think Roberts could be a really effective, shooter and off-ball mover for Penn State this season. I definitely think they need to continue to be able to space the floor, as that was a little bit of an issue for them last season. So I think Roberts can do a great job, step in, and be probably one of the best shooters in the conference right away. Next up for the Purdue Boilermakers, I'm excited to see Princeton transfer Caden Pierce, who last played in 24-25 for Princeton. In 24-25, he averaged 11 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal per game, shooting 47% from the field, 32% from three, and 65% from the line. But his best season was definitely in 23-24, where he averaged almost 17 points per game, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, over a steal per game, shooting almost 55% from the field, 34% from three, and 77% from the line. He just feels like a Purdue player. He's just a smart, guy who can handle and facilitate for a forward. He can be kind of an offensive hub for guys to work around, and I think that's definitely going to be important after losing one of the best playmakers in college basketball history in Braden Smith. They obviously lost a lot of production with him. Trey Kaufman-Renn, Fletcher Loyer, and Oscar Clough. They are returning a handful of contributors like CJ Cox, Daniel Jacobson, Omer Meyer, and Jakari Harris from last season. But I think Caden Pierce has the chance to be kind of the top number one option scorer. He's a really smart playmaker on both ends of the floor. He's got good size and physicality. He's also a pretty solid athlete. He can defend, a number of positions, like pretty much 2 through 5, I would say, really effectively. And I just think he fits what Matt Painter's trying to do on offense. And, Matt Painter has gotten the most out of his teams year after year. And I think that's going to be a similar story to what we see this season. And I think Caden Pierce has the chance to be the best player on this Boilermakers team this season. Next up for Rutgers, I'm excited to see sophomore guard Lino Mark, who in his freshman season for the Scarlet Knights, he averaged 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and almost 1 steal per game. Shot 40% from the field, only 23% from three, and 77% from the line. So definitely going to need to get those efficiencies up, but he was kind of in a smaller role, only played in 16 minutes per game last season, but he definitely showed a lot of flash and potential to be, a solid offensive contributor, and he's a solid two-way guard as well. He's a solid defender. He's really quick with the ball in his hands, and I think he could be, an effective scorer at all three levels. The Scarlet Knights are returning a handful of contributors from last season: Tariq Francis, Darren Buchanan Jr., JaMychal Davis, Caden Powers, to go alongside Lino Mark. They're also bringing in a lot of transfers like Darren Smith Jr. from Central Connecticut State, Rashid Jones from Coastal Carolina, and Will Sidnor from Manhattan, I believe is how you pronounce that. But I think Lino Mark has the chance to, take a jump in production for sure. I think he could be one of the top scoring options for the Scarlet Knights this season. Having lost, a handful of productive players from last season, I think he could definitely grow into a larger role, maybe even be a starter for most of the season. And I think just, with another year of development under head coach Steve Peichel, he's going to be a really effective player for the Scarlet Knights this season. Next up for UCLA, I'm excited to see Trent Perry in his junior season for the Bruins. He did have a bit of a breakout season last year for UCLA. He averaged 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and almost a steal per game, shooting 44% from the field, 39% from three, and 86% from the line. He played in about 30 minutes per game, started 24 out of 35 games, but I think he's in line for another jump this upcoming season with the Bruins losing a lot of production with Tyler Bilodeau gone, Donovan Dent and Sky Clark also gone as well. So obviously a lot of the guards and ball handler responsibilities will probably fall on Trent Perry now. They're also bringing back guys like Eric Daly and Xavier Booker. So I think those will definitely be the three main contributors and scorers for UCLA this season. They did add some talent in the transfer portal like Jalen Petty from Texas Tech, Philip Jovich from Auburn, and Xavier Robinson from Butler to go along with top 100 recruit Joe Philon. But I definitely think Trent Perry is going to be the main contributor and scorer for head coach Mick Cronin and the Bruins this season. I think he has a chance to be one of the best guards in the conference this season, and I think he could be a solid contributor on both ends of the court, a really smart playmaker and efficient scorer. So I'm really excited to see the junior season for Trent Perry. Next up for USC, I'm excited to see the junior season from Jacob Kofi. I thought that he could be a draft prospect in this past 2026 NBA draft. I really liked his film and what I saw last season at USC. He averaged 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and almost 2 blocks per game. He shot 51% from the field, 32% from three, and 61% from the line. I definitely think, he's going to try and work on his perimeter jump shot, make it more efficient and make it more reliable so that he can be able to space the floor, because he's already a great finisher around the rim. He's a great athlete, and he can, finish through contact. He can finish over people. And I think if he's able to develop a consistent outside jump shot, that is going to just round out his game perfectly. I'm really excited to see USC this season. I think they got a lot of intriguing pieces. They are returning guys like Rodney Rice, who only played in 6 games last season, Elijah Arenas, who also, didn't play a ton. So, really talented scorers there to kind of complement Jacob Kofi. And then they're bringing in a ton of talent from the transfer portal and incoming freshmen like Isaac Bruns from South Dakota, Jalen Cox from Colgate, Jadis Jones from Lindenwood, KJ Jones from Georgetown, and they're also bringing in incoming freshman Christian Collins, who's the number 6 recruit in the ESPN Top 100, and then the Ratliff twins in Adonis and Darius. So I think Eric Musselman has a ton of talent to work with this season at USC, so I think there should be some very high expectations for the Trojans, and I think Jacob Kofi could definitely be one of the best players on their team this season. Next up for the Washington Huskies, I'm really excited to see Texas Tech transfer LaJohn Watts for them this season. This will be Watts' 4th school and 4th 4 years. He started out at Eastern Washington and then Washington State, then went to Texas Tech, and now is coming back to the state of Washington to play for the Huskies this season. He averaged 12.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists last season, shot 43% from the field, 32% from three, and 77% from the line. He's a really good two-way contributor. He's got good size and athleticism for a wing spot. He's listed at 6'6", 225. He plays tough, but he can also, knock down threes when he's left open. I think, developing more of a consistent outside jumper will definitely be important for him to be able to just be more of a knockdown shooter when he's left open. But he's a really good defensive player. He's a really smart playmaker. He can handle the ball. He can facilitate. He can do a little bit of everything out there. And I think he's going to be a really important player for the Huskies this season. They did lose a lot of production like Hannes Steinbach, Zoom Diallo, and Desmond Claude from last season. They are returning Wesley Yates and Lathan Somerville, and also bringing in transfers like Ryan Beasley from San Francisco, Parker Fredrickson from Davidson to go along with Watts. But I definitely think that Watts could be, the second top scorer on this team, probably behind Wesley Yates. And I'm excited to see how he can contribute to the Huskies this season. I think he's going to be a really impactful player for head coach Danny Sprinkle. I really liked his game at Texas Tech last season, so I think he can bring that over to the Huskies this season and be a really solid player for them in the Big Ten. And lastly, for the Wisconsin Badgers, I'm excited to see George Washington transfer Trey Autry, who spent the last 3 seasons at George Washington, and he's been a pretty productive player for them these past 3 seasons. Last year, he averaged 11 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. He shot 44% from the field, 39% from three on over 6 attempts per game, and 81% from the line. He's a knockdown shooter. He's going to be able to space the floor for the Badgers and head coach Greg Gard, and I think that's going to be really important for their team this season. They are returning a handful of scorers like Nolan Winter, Austin Rapp, from last season, but they are losing their main guys like Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, who combined for 40 points per game. So they're definitely going to need some scores this season. They are bringing in a couple other transfers to go along with Autry, like Ian Elmer from Miami, Ohio, and Victory Onuetu from Hofstra to go along with 3 international recruits as well. But I think that Trey Autry is going to be, again, one of the top shooters in this conference. He's a smart playmaker. He knows, how to move without the ball. He knows kind of how to rotate when guys are driving. He can, cut without the ball. And he could be a solid player and a solid kind of 3-and-D guy for the Badgers this season. So I think that he's going to be a really productive player for Wisconsin. Greg Gard always gets the most out of his team as well. So hopefully, the same is with Trey Autry this season. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Autry can do at the Big Ten level for Wisconsin this season. And that is going to be it for me today, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you think I got your team's players right, or if there's another guy that you think could have a breakout season for your school. I'm definitely excited to see, how the Big Ten unfolds this season. I think there's a ton of talent in this conference. Like I said at the beginning, I think this is probably either the first or second most talented and deepest conference in college basketball. So I'm definitely excited to see how it all unfolds this year. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you did like this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.